he said something that, that is really interesting. He said, India is a country that consistently disappoints both the pessimist and the optimist. Consistently disappoints both the pessimist and optimist, but that's changing now. We're only disappointing the pessimists. And I can go through a lot of data points, and I'm preaching to the choir here. All of you know these statistics better than I do, but I'll just pick on a few. We all know India's got 100,000 startups, but India is producing 100 new startups every day, the highest in anywhere in the world. Every sixth AI researcher in the world, every sixth AI technologist in the world is coming from India. And by the way, that's a statistic you shared with me, Naushad. 25% of the new additions to the global workforce in the next decade will come from India. India is not just incredible anymore, we are credible as well. And we're really coming together. And beyond these numbers, India is now starting to dream big. And not just dream big, but we're going after our dreams like our lives depend on it. And that is going to lead this generation to change how we work, how we operate, how we think about technology. India matters to all of us, and I know it for a fact. India matters to all of us in this room, but we now want to matter to India. And I think that is the shift that we're seeing in India that at least I've never seen before. Okay, let's quickly talk about AI, and Satya is going to go really deep into this, so I'm not going to go there. But I just want to quickly show you a lot of our customers who are starting to build on us. And our purpose in India is AI for everyone. We want to be India's most trusted, most innovative AI partner. And all the customers that you see on this chart, customers always vote with their feet. But if you see this chart, there's a march going on towards Microsoft. It's a real privilege. It's a responsibility that we take seriously. And by the way, this is not just logos. We've actually pulled together 71 stories of first movers on AI in India. And we put together a book for you. That book is right outside the room. I would request all of you to pick that up before you leave. I hope these stories inspire you. And Devjani, thank you for writing the foreword. I hope these stories inspire you to think about AI in your own organization. Okay. Last part of the conversation today, how can all of you be unstoppable? And I'm going to give you 3 calls to action very quickly. Number 1, start learning now. This is my cute take on IQ. I call it AIQ. And I tell my teams the opposite of knowledge on AI is not ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge. All of us are in this illusion. Get out of that illusion now. Start learning every day. If you're not learning every day, you're falling behind. Number 2, unlock productivity with Copilot. Copilot's actually helped me pull this event together. And by the way, I saved hours and days of time pulling that together, and I got all of you into this room. If I can do it, so can you. Don't get left behind. And finally, don't dip your toes as an organization. Get started now. Don't wait for this technology to get fully baked. It's going to get baked every day. But if you're not building on this today, you're really falling behind. And of course, you need data, governance, and trust to come together for all of this to work. So in simple words, learn it, use it, and deploy it, with full credit to the hero on the ad from the 80s. But learn it, use it, and deploy it. It's as simple as that. So let me bring this together, and I'll then bring Satya in. 3 messages I want to leave you with. India is truly unstoppable. This is a different country. We can all feel it. It's the most exciting market in the world today for technology. And we're all in this market. It's truly a privilege. AI is truly unstoppable. It's real now. We moved from stories to action, and there's real impact happening every day around us. And finally, all of us in this room can be unstoppable if we learn it, if we use it, and if we deploy it. And I'll urge all of you to do that. With that, I'm going to quote the man I'm going to bring on the stage. He said, our industry does not respect tradition, it only respects innovation. And there couldn't be a better time in India. There couldn't be a better time in technology to think about innovation. And with that, it's an honor of a lifetime for me to bring to the stage Satya Nadella, Chairman and CEO of Microsoft.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's fantastic, as usual, to be back in India. In fact, it is exactly a year ago I was here, and obviously AI was in the air then, and AI is really is in the air now. In terms of rate of diffusion, quite frankly, I've not seen anything like this. When I've thought about, I've been coming to India through all the 4 big platform shifts I've been part of as part of Microsoft, whether it is the PCs and client server, subsequently it was the web, and the internet, and then, of course, mobile and cloud. But this is the first time I feel what's happening in India and what's happening in the rest of the world, there is no impedance, there is no gap. If anything, the use cases here that I'll talk a lot about are so unique and are paving their own path, and that's what's exciting. We're not just talking about AI, we're scaling AI, and it's a fantastic time to be both doing and learning from each other. The thing that always, whenever I think about new platforms, and this is, in fact, the learning I've had having watched these 4 big platform shifts, is to be very grounded on what exactly changed, right? Because we can talk about change, but you have to sort of dimensionalize it in a crisp way. And I would say the AI platform shift has 2 massive shifts. Both of them actually have been these 70-year arcs of computers, if you will, right? If you think about the computer age, in the last 70 years has been this one continuous march to create a more natural user interface, right? In fact, the dream of the early founders, whether it is Vannevar Bush or Engelbart or what have you, was always, can you create computers that understand us versus us having to understand computers, right? And I feel like we have kind of arrived at that. With natural language, but multimodal, that is video, images, text in and out, and the ability to have arbitrary length conversations which are multi-domain. I think we've really got a new user interface paradigm that's going to change pretty much how we use computers and what computers even mean. And then the second thing is, for the last 70 years, we continuously increased our digitization of people, places, and things. Because in some sense, Bill used to always tell me there's only one software category. It's called information management, which is every day you get up, you digitize a little more, and you make sense of the digitized world. Now we have a new capability of making sense of that digitized world, a new reasoning engine, which is a neural reasoning engine, which we can apply to an increasingly digitized world. And so these 2 things, a new user experience and a new reasoning engine, pretty much completely revolutionized the entire tech stack. This ultimately is going to have an impact on GDP, right? Because at the end of the day, you can only talk about tech as a real thing if it is going to have a real impact in the overall growth of an economy. And in India's case, as Puneet was saying, definitely today this is one of the highest growth markets. You see it, the buoyancy of it. The government and all of you have high ambitions of what's going to happen even by 2025. And what percentage of that GDP growth is going to actually be driven by AI are all, I think, going to be very interesting numbers for us to track. In fact, I recently came across a fascinating statistic in the United Kingdom during the height of the Industrial Revolution. They spent as much as 10% of their GDP on the railroad system, and then the rest obviously is history. But I think that's another understanding, which is when you have a new general purpose technology, how intensely you invest and deploy it cross-sectorally inside an economy, I think makes difference to a country's prospects going forward. And that's why that's exciting that we are at the early stages of this adoption cycle, but rapidly scaling it. That's what we are focused on at Microsoft. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization in India to be able to participate fully. To me, that's what gives me a lot of satisfaction, is to see new technology but applied in unique, intense ways across small and large businesses, across public and private sector, across every part of the Indian economy, across every region of India. That's what's really our mission. That's why we have built this into the entirety of tech stack. People say, what is an AI product from Microsoft? It's called everything from Microsoft. There is not one product, quite frankly, because we've plumbed it all the way from the core infrastructure. It's fascinating. The more I look at it, I get up in the morning and I'm reviewing some data center plan. Everything from what we do on the concrete to the HVAC system to the infrastructure are all being defined by the power draw of AI systems. I mean, it's not about like any one product, but the entirety of what we do is being shaped. And the opportunity of ultimately, though, you can even, we used to talk about digital transformation all through cloud. That's effectively the same thing, which is the way we engage our customers, with the way we engage, the experience of our employees, the business processes and how they're optimized, and the pace of just raw innovation in any enterprise. All of these are the ultimate outcomes that we will measure ourselves by, right? So it's not about tech for tech's sake, but it's tech applied for these business outcomes that I think, more so than I would say even in the cloud era, I feel that the ability to tangibly say, what is the change in the business outcome? I think we're able to go to grok that much faster. So it's exciting time for AI transformation and AI-driven transformation. So in that context, for us, I would say there are three imperatives. If I had to sort of even look across what's happening around the world, what we ourselves, quite frankly, are seeing inside the company, there are three imperatives of how you all can get ahead on driving those business outcomes. The first one is to just adopt some of these products like Copilots fast. It reminds me, quite frankly, of the first paradigm shift I was part of, which is the PCs. It's interesting, by the way, PCs are an interesting thing because if you even take some of these critiques of the impact of IT in economic growth, like Robert Gordon, the one thing that he gives credit to is PCs in the late 90s, when they became standard issue and part of work. They changed productivity. In fact, he will claim that that was the last time IT actually had a direct relationship to productivity stats. And obviously, I take a lot of pride in it. But I feel this AI age is very similar. That is, it's diffusing, right? If you think about what PCs did, they brought information at your fingertips. This age of AI is really expertise at your fingertips. Think, what happened to forecasting before PCs, right? Before email and spreadsheets, how did we do forecasting? And then how did the business process of forecasting change? Same thing is happening now, whether it is supply chain, whether it's sales, whether it's legal or what have you. When you can summon the expertise, it's the greatest silo breaker. And so that's why I think adoption of Copilots becomes critical. And we're seeing all kinds of productivity stats here, but all of it stems from this fundamental notion that knowledge turns inside an organization are changing, right? And you can come at it horizontally, whether it's frontline work or knowledge work, or you can come at it from business process, sales, service, software development, security operations. So the tangible way, you can, in fact, my biggest encouragement for you is to go deploy these tools, create a cohort, measure it yourself. That's it. Because you've got to build your own confidence that you can sense it, see it, and that way you can drive it. And so that's what I think is very much possible, and you see all of these statistics. And in fact, in India, that's what's been most exciting for me. I've been sort of learning about all of these use cases. IT services, at some level, you could say it's existential for any one of us, right? I was talking to Jensen the other day. He's got everybody in NVIDIA is deployed Copilot. It makes sense because his thing is like we will all be found out. In fact, the firm level differences will start showing up, especially in tech, in short order if you're not an early adopter. And so obviously that you see even with the IT services in this country all going fast and furious on it. But it's just not that. And in fact, I think Puneet had these slides where there is adoption across the board, across every sector of the Indian economy, and it's exciting to see. Just to give you a flavor for it, I was reading up about what Axis Bank did. This is one of the things that I sort of describe as the standard issue, right? Just like at some point, all of us sort of said, hey, PC's a standard issue. Copilot is a standard issue. That's what they're doing. So they're basically saying, let's take the most horizontal approach of having everybody equipped with a Copilot so that every piece of knowledge work can be done faster. Somebody described this to me as lean for knowledge work. I think that's a good way to even think about it, right? Which is you're increasing the speed and the sort of alignment across organizations so that you can get things done with the least amount of time and effort, right? That's essentially the mindset. So that's kind of what Axis is trying to do. Both HCL Tech and Mindtree are also adopting this, but they're also adding their own workflows into it, right? So it's not just the horizontal tools that are baked in, but in the case of HCL, a lot of their project management and bug triage is integrated into the Copilot. In the case of Mindtree, even the insights into how they drive their staffing for various projects is plugged into it. So in some sense, it's not just the one workflow that we have, but you can steer it to the workflows that matter inside your enterprise and wire it all into this Copilot. So Copilot's understanding is not just what was prefabricated, it is what your enterprise is. And that's exciting. And in the case of Infosys, this is probably one of the bigger use cases of GitHub Copilot. In fact, if I go back into my own belief in this entire regime of AI, if you will, all came about when I first saw GPT-3 inside, or what became GPT-3 inside of GitHub Copilot. And it's the most proven use case. It's the place where the productivity stats are most robust. I mean, it went from, remember, software developers are pretty skeptical people, right? It went from this won't work to, oh my God, I can't live without it, in the shortest amount of time. And it's exciting to see now this is now being broadly deployed even across organizations like Infosys. Now, the next imperative, of course, is adopt. So the first thing is don't reinvent the wheel. Get the copilots that have been prefabricated, whether it's sort of for specific business processes like software development or security or the horizontal ones. Add your own data, add your own workflow. So that's number one. The number two is we are exposing all of the tech stack we use to build our copilots to you as first-class Azure services. So that means there's nothing magic about what we did, because you can take that same thing and apply it to anything you want to build de novo as far as your own AI products. And so that's the second imperative. This Copilot stack from the bottom to the top is available to you. So for our investments here, obviously start with the raw infrastructure itself, right? We have more regions than any other hyperscaler around the world. In India itself, we have 3 regions already, 4th coming online. We have the 2 regions with Geo, so we are definitely investing to make sure that compute with low latency at scale, including all the AI, is available for all of you to be able to take advantage. We're investing a lot, as I said, in making sure. In fact, when I think back, having started in our cloud group, what now 15 years ago, I sometimes sort of wake up and sort of can't recognize even the core system architecture. It's so rapidly changing. So we are investing a lot in making sure that the AI infrastructure, whether it's for large model training or small batch training or inferencing, how do we make sure we have the best performance on it? So that's something that we're doing across multiple, and having diversity of silicon as well. So we are very, very excited about the progress and some of the benchmark data that we have seen is very, very, because here's the thing, right? People talk about the death of Moore's Law. Let me tell you, Moore's Law is very much alive when it comes to AI, right? What used to be the cost curves of AI are only going to come down. So that means a set of tokens in and out today are going to follow the Moore's Law. So that means when you're even thinking about your AI project, I tell my teams, don't worry about COGS. We can optimize COGS. And so if you want to be the most ambitious about being able to use this to create the most value for your customers, partners, and for the business, and then know that there is no other raw material in the world that just drops in price using Moore's Law like this. And so that's, if you talk about business leverage, this is business leverage. The next thing is we have the raw infrastructure, but then we have these models, right? So these are like the foundries of this world, right? So therefore you have we have the best model today even, right? With all the sort of hoopla, 1 year after. Still, GPT-4 on NNLU, take your benchmark, and anyone still is better. We're waiting for the competition to arrive. It'll arrive, I'm sure. But the fact is that we have the most leading LLM out there. we have all the open source models. So it's not about, like even Copilot is not about just OpenAI models. In fact, we use a combination of models in any of our products, which is what all of you will use. So we have in Azure the best of open source models, the best of frontier models. We also are innovating in what is called the small language models. In fact, one of the best, if you go to Hugging Face today, you'll find that Phi is the leading small language model. And it's a pretty cool research finding, right? Which is you can take a slightly different approach to learning, as opposed to thinking of all tokens as equal. If you took a cognitive approach to, like, for example, the original book, or the original paper on transformers was Attention is All You Need. The paper we wrote was Textbooks is All You Need. And it's intuitive, right? When you're learning something, you would rather go to a textbook and learn versus saying, let me learn from all the text that was ever written about a subject. So that intuition is what's leading to these small models actually performing on par with some of the largest models. So we're very, very excited about the SLMs. These are the things that can run on your phones and on your PCs, as well as obviously in the cloud at scale. And you can cost optimize, going back again to the Moore's Law point. So you can think about LLMs and SLMs all playing a role in how you build out your products. Perhaps when I look at the thing that I'm most excited about is what I think all of this can do for science and the acceleration of science. Clearly, I think knowledge work, frontline work, like whether it's software development, whether it's the everyday knowledge work, will be revolutionized. But if I think about one of the pressing challenges we as a society have, is we have to take whatever, the 250 years of science, right? They'll take energy transition. We're not going to make it to the other side if we don't compress maybe 250 years of development of chemistry into perhaps the next 25 years. So we need some new way to even change the scientific process and its curve. And that's where I think AI can help. AI, essentially, the way we think about it is, like if you want to simulate in silico, that's where high-performance computing is used, right? If you want to even simulate a single molecule or molecular dynamics, cells, and then all the way to complex systems. Of course, the real breakthrough there will be quantum. But the interesting thing AI does is AI is kind of like an emulator that, or it reduces the search space so that you can, for example, if you want to build a new material, you can discover that new material or generate. In fact, generative diffusion models like MatterGen that we developed are allowing us to build new materials. And in fact, we round-tripped one such example recently. We worked with one of the national labs in the United States and essentially generated a new material which reduced the lithium content in a battery by 70%. Right? I really wanted my team to show me this, that this is a complete round trip. So it's not just, oh, we generated something in silico, but can you fabricate it and put it back into a battery? Of course, we're not a battery company, but think about this in the hands of somebody who is in the battery business. Right? So you're not just building batteries, you're able to fundamentally change the frontier of science that helps you build the next generation of batteries. This is happening in chemistry, it's happening in material science, it is going to start happening in biology. It's obviously drug discovery, being able to generate new molecules for drug discovery is easy. It's the drug discovery process which is going to be the more complex one. But nevertheless, we're definitely very excited about what AI for science means. So we are now thinking of this as first class. Just like as you thought about Microsoft 365 for knowledge work, you will sort of come to, and we'll do this through partnerships. So that's why I think it's very exciting in a country like India, where there is so much investment and so much capital going into the core basic science-driven industries, to be able to really come help India leapfrog even some of the scientific revolution would be very, very exciting. To harness all this, we're building the best tool chain. In some sense, one of the things that I take great satisfaction from is we are a tools company. That's how we got started in 1975, and here we are in 2024, and we get a real kick out of building the best tools for developers. Whether it's GitHub, whether it's VS Code, whether it's the low-code, no-code tools in Power Platform, all of these things coming together, and the power of all of this technology has to be democratized so that people can build applications at the end of the day. And that's what our goal is with the entire tool chain. The other very, very important part of the tech stack is the data platform, right? So if you think about a reasoning engine, if you want to build an application, it's about taking the data you have and using this reasoning engine on top of the data. And so we are bringing essentially AI compute to all of the data in all its forms, whether it's operational stores, whether it's analytical stores, linking these two things in real time. In fact, one of the things that I'm very sort of excited about is a product called Fabric. And what we did is, I think of it as the product built for the AI age, because it separates out the core storage from compute and with even the business model. So that means I can build an application which is using all the data in one lake, and I can have different types of compute. Sometimes it's SQL, sometimes it's Spark, sometimes it's Azure OpenAI. There are 3 different types of compute jobs that can all be brought in on the same data or different data joins, if you will. And so that, to me, is a very breakthrough way to think about your data in the context of AI. So this is a lot of people talk about their AI projects. The first thing is you got to get your data house in order to be able to get the best value out. And that's why you see the adoption cycles even in India, even though the cloud adoption in India was a lot slower than what happened in the rest of the world. But the fact that it has happened is what's helping anyone today take AI without any of that diffusion impedance or delay, if you will, because you're already in the cloud, your data is already in the cloud, and you're able to rapidly turn it around and adopt something like a new reasoning engine on top of that same data. Lots of interesting customer use cases here, and I think Puneet had many of these examples, and I had a chance this morning to visit with a few of these folks and really learn about how they are going about building things. And they're really inspirational, right? Take Air India. What Chandra was telling me is how he's really instructed the team there to accelerate everything that they're doing, right? Essentially from lack of, he was telling me, they're just putting in all of the systems that had like a lot of deficit, but rapidly getting into place where they're leading, in fact, going from not having systems to leading with some of those experiences. So the thing that they built, for example, was an agent, an AI agent for the customer. It's one of the leading products out there. So if you go to the Air India homepage on the web, you can speak to this AI agent, complete your entire transaction and travel planning, and they have like high ambition on it. And they have on the back end of it as well, they're also creating a bunch of agents to streamline the business process, not just on the front end to the consumers. I had a chance to meet with the ITC team that they're building this essentially a bot for the farmers to be able to then get all the knowledge they need, because in some sense, in a vernacular language, to be able to access all of the information and to be able to even take action, right? This is the other very interesting interesting dimension to this, which is it reduces the expertise required to use computing and the knowledge that is accessible, right? So that is why I think in India, the most exciting thing is for the quality of all Indian output to go up, because it sort of helps reduce the barrier. I think that that's going to probably be an example in farming. Arvind, this is a fascinating use case. So they obviously have been in business for 100+ years, and here they are using AI to, for example, for their legal department to say, let's make sense of contracts faster, let's understand risk, and what have you. Very obvious use case. After all, any lawyer or anyone in the legal department who spent a lot of time trying to assess risk on any given contract, the easiest use case is to just be able to use Gen AI to make sense of it. But the interesting thing is for their commercial teams to effectively summon the legal expertise, right at the point when the contract or the RFP is even being issued. That's the real transformation. The real transformation is when the expertise silos are broken, right? So you don't have to wait for finance to, at the end of the quarter, tell you all the mistakes you made, or for legal to tell you all the risks you took without knowing, right? So it's the ability to bridge that expertise gap just in time. That's why I kind of think of this as lean for knowledge work. That's what they're doing. And then the last example was very inspirational. Like last time I was here, I saw the demo of Jugalbandi, and I spoke about it many, many times because it was just a drop, it's like drop the mic moment for me to see how this digital public good and Bhashini combined with Jugalbandi was being used to transform lives of people in rural India, speaking in vernacular languages, and being able to not only get access to information and knowledge, but to take action, right? I mean, talk about human agency in the age of AI being enhanced. That was an example. And now the team has even built a fantastic thing called Jugalbandi Studio, which is a no-code, low-code tool for people to be able to build these bots and make them available to all of the social entrepreneurs, the nonprofits who are doing things. And so I had a chance to meet the folks from one of the nonprofits or social enterprise called Agami, and they built a thing for migrant laborers coming in and for them to be able to access this information. It's called Bandhu. So therefore, somebody who comes in from, say, rural Andhra Pradesh into Bangalore is the example they showed, and instead of speaking in Telugu, perhaps getting access to information on how they can get housing, how should they go about getting the right terms, all of the things. Then think about the sort of, reducing the, I would say, the stress of being able to get to services when you come into a new place across across India is fantastic to watch. The empowerment it gives to the end citizen here, but also the empowerment to all of the social enterprises to be able to use something like this to make a real difference is fantastic to watch. So those are some of the the ability for you all to build your own AI applications has never been easier, and I see it at scale in India. So that brings me to the last imperative, which is ultimately trust. Because in some sense, as we talk about AI, we've got to talk about safety, and trust as first class part of it. It has a couple of different dimensions. The first one is the dimension of security, right? Because again, just like how data is important, securing your entire AI estate is important, whether it's the endpoints, whether it is the identity, whether it's infrastructure or your applications. This is where the zero trust environment that we have sort of evangelized and built the product suite for becomes very, very important, because you can't talk about security, you've got to operationally operate it, right? Or you have to have operational security posture that matches your rhetoric around security. And this is everyday exercise. As somebody said to me, you can't get fit by watching others go to the gym, you got to go to the gym. And this is a place where you've got to practice that. The second piece is the safeguards that we have put in place. Because one of the questions people ask is, look, in this age of AI, what's happening with my data? Is my data my data? It's absolutely, your data will always be your data. Your data is not used to enrich anybody else's models. Your AI model, so if you build, let's say, a fine-tuned model and you deploy it, it's protected by using the same security boundaries that we talked about. And also our commitment to copyright indemnification. Because at the end of the day, this is all going to be a societal decision effectively. What is fair use? What's the transformative use of data? Very important, by the way. It's fascinating to watch countries like Japan and others take very enlightened stances around copyright, because they have sort of seen what has happened in other paradigm shifts where perhaps they over-regulated. So I think this is something that I think each country will choose its regime, the global norms will emerge. But copyright is something that we are very much on the forefront of in making sure that there's indemnification directly from us. And then the last thing is, of course, the responsible AI framework. And even here, what we have done is we have the principles. We have taken those principles and translated them into a set of standards. And those standards are implemented as a set of processes, starting at the engineering. So these are not just things that we talk about, but they're core part of the engineering process. And we have an audit function, right? Because it's not just about saying things that you literally have to have an audit function where you go in and say, are you managing the process the way you said you are? And so this is how we are approaching it. All of this is available as effectively a set of services for you. So whenever you are thinking about building your own AI applications, you can go ahead and implement effectively a robust, responsible AI framework around your own AI development. So that's really the three imperatives that I at least wanted to share with you. I want to wrap up where I started. Our mission at the end of the day is to empower every person and every organization in India to be able to achieve more in this age of AI. And in that context, I'm very excited today to even announce a new initiative around skilling. We are going to equip 2 million plus people in India with AI skills. We think that obviously at the end of the day, really taking the workforce and making sure that they have the skills in order to be able to thrive in this new age is the most important thing that any of us can be doing, and we are happy to play our role in it. But it's not just the skills, but it's even the jobs that get created. And in this context, I was very inspired when I had a chance to meet with the folks behind Karya. In fact, it was the founder of Karya was telling me about how a lot of the research that was the foundation of it came from Microsoft India, Microsoft Research in India. It's fantastic that it's now translated into this thriving organization that is taking essentially what is AI tasks of labeling and bringing those jobs, very well-paying jobs, to rural India and being able to really create economic opportunity that is pretty unique. And it's fantastic to see not only people who are software developers participating, which we know GitHub, for example, in India has more AI engineers, or the AI engineering community is second to the United States in India. But to even see that in rural India, people are participating in the AI economy thanks to the work of organizations like Karya is fantastic to see. And so I think we'll roll the video and you'll get a chance to meet some of the folks who are part of this.
India has 22 official languages, and Marathi is actually a language that is spoken by millions and millions of people. But unfortunately, many Indian languages are under-resourced.
We cannot let language be the thing that does not allow you to use technology.
AI is a transformative technology. People deserve to have access to these amazing technologies in their language. Karya exists to accelerate social mobility in rural India by building AI-based solutions to help our communities. Our workers record sentences in their mother tongue on their smartphones. And for the simple task, we pay them nearly 20 times the Indian minimum wage. And that leads to a data set, so they keep on making royalties every single time those data sets are resold.
I think it is imperative that if we are changing someone's income structure in this way, that we also need to help them understand financial literacy.
आज सगळ्यांना आपल्याला आर्थिक साक्षरता शिकण्यासाठी मी इथे आहे आणि आपण हे कार्या ॲप मधून करणार आहोत.
रमेश आणि कल्पेश हे दोघेही रोजंदारीचे बांधकाम मजूर होते.
मी कधी ऐकलं नव्हतं, मी माझा आवाज कधीच ऐकलं नव्हता की त्या कार्याकडनं मला त्या ॲपमुळे माझा आवाज कसा आहे हे मला माहित पडलं आणि त्याच्यामधून शिकायला पण भेटलं. बँकिंगचं याचं कर्ज कसं घ्यायचं, ती कशी बचत करायची, मुलांच्या नावावर एफडी कशा करायच्या, हे खूप खूप शिकलो. आम्हाला आता कुणाची गरज नाही की एटीएम मध्ये जायचंय आणि पैसे त्यांनी काढून आणून द्यावेत, असं नाही, आम्ही स्वतः करू शकतो.
Karya's platform is hosted on Azure. We use Azure Cognitive Services for our own AI-based validation work. And we're also using Azure OpenAI.
मला खूप आनंद वाटतो, मला खरंच गर्व वाटतो की माझा आवाज कुठेतरी कोणतरी ऐकणार आहे आणि मी मराठीत बोलले त्याच्यामुळे कोणीतरी शिकणार आहे. मला अभिमान वाटतो.
If you can solve it for India, you can solve it for the world.
Continuing the AI journey, up next session, a session themed on the future of technology and driving citizen scale impact. Please join me in welcoming Sri Ram Rajamani, Corporate Vice President and Managing Director, Microsoft Research India, in conversation with Irina Ghosh, Managing Director, India and South Asia.
Thanks a lot. A very good morning, everybody out here. Sriram, my first question to you is that you are at the helm of envisioning things for the future. But isn't everybody doing that? And in today's world, what's that unique way that you're driving Microsoft's charter to really think about cutting-edge things?
So maybe I'll say a few things about Microsoft Research. Microsoft Research is a scientific laboratory. So we employ PhD scientists, and I myself have a PhD from UC Berkeley. And if you look at our staff, right, we employ many PhD scientists as well as engineers and program managers. We would look like, for example, a computer science department at IIT Bombay or at Berkeley. That's what we would look like if you come to our lab. So like academics, we actually push the state of the art in science. But in addition to that, we put in a lot of effort to make sure that the technologies we come up with have transformative impact on industry as well as impact on society. And I hope that that's actually what I want to get out in this conversation, right? So we are not just an ivory tower lab. We try to actually push what we do so that the rubber meets the road and learn from that and evolve what we do. So that's actually the essential characteristic of what a lab like MSR does. Yeah.
No, fantastic. And a lot of things that we were seeing today morning, they are really groundbreaking things. Must have taken years to come across here. And you are always thinking about mid-term, future, longer-term projects. Tell us about one project which is really close to your heart.
So one thing that is top of mind for me, particularly in AI, is how AI is impacting how search and recommendation is being imagined for the future. Today, as you know, if you can actually roll up the video, search engines have come a long way. But still, if you actually search for ambiguous queries, there is much left to be desired. As an example, for example, if you actually look for something like PCA outcome climate change, which is what this user is searching, what they really want to understand is Paris Climate Accord. But if you actually try it with search engines today, search engines get them wrong. For example, they come up with things like principal component analysis, which is a mathematical technique. And even, Satya talked about retrieval augmented generation, which a lot of these chat applications use today. Even those, some of them are actually able to get the correct answer, Paris Climate Accord, but they also get a lot of other possibilities. So when you have ambiguous queries, right, there's still a long way that search engines have to go. So one of the things that we are doing in our lab is a really dramatic technology shift called tiny language models and knowledge models. And these tiny language models are language models with only like 100 million parameters that you can run on your phone. They can take these ambiguous queries and then combining it with a knowledge model which distills information from billions of web documents as well as enterprise data. We can disambiguate these queries and get the right information out. And then if you feed that into LLM as a reasoning engine, you will get the response that you want in natural language. So one of the things that we are trying to do here is to do this with extremely low computational cost so that you can actually build them on commodity CPUs so that you can actually run this on your phone even without connection to the internet. So the training actually takes a long time, but once you train it, right, these are going to run on your phones and just going to change the way we think about retrieval and how search is being done. And this, you will see this in the next few years.
Wow, so we heard LLMs, we heard SLMs, and now we're talking about tiny language models, 50 to 100 million parameters only, running on your mobile phones. That will truly have a compounding effect. Shifting gear now, India is considered always to be a software powerhouse. We are always building these infrastructure projects like the UPIs and the Aadhars to make citizen scale impact. And I'm sure, tying to what you were saying in the beginning, the mission for Microsoft Research is to make applications happen with agility. What are some of the innovations that you're driving in this area?
So, I just like to talk about machine learning. One other area we work in quite a bit in our lab in Bangalore is software engineering. And there we work not only with enterprises, but with NGOs and citizen scale development organizations. And you may have, in Satya's video, you saw the Jugalbandi bot, which a farmer can use to understand government programs in their own local language. That was just initially only about farming, but somebody else might want to build an application in education. Someone else might want to build such an application for climate change and so on. So we sort of stepped back and we built something called Jugalbandi Studio, which now is a platform-level capability enabling any social enterprise to build their citizen-scale application using purely natural language, using low-code, no-code. And that's what actually you saw here. And that was a collaboration between Microsoft Research and public organizations, and we are just doing it in open source. So that's actually one way by which we're enabling the community to build applications using this new technology.
That's really nice. And how do you build across things so that a person who's really not into the helm of knowing what can go wrong, errors, etc., are checked in here?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So one of the things that, very exciting things that have happened with Jugalbandi Studio is that when the bots initially came out, they were only information seeking. That I could say, okay, tell me about this farming possibility or whatever, right? But now, we are also now doing actions. We can now, the Jugalbandi Studio enables you to, for example, Aadhaar authenticate a user. It enables you to make a UPI payment. And now you're getting really serious because you now enable somebody to make a payment. You have to now think about what happens when the payment fails. How do you deal with the situation? I mean, experienced developers know how to deal with it, right? But what about low-code, no-code developers? So one of the things that we do in Jugalbandi Studio is that the studio talks back to you, saying if you say now, add an UPI payment step, the studio talks back to you and say, have you thought about what the application should do if the payment fails, right? So those are actually the kind of the things that we are doing to make sure that these applications are robust, reliable, and secure.
Lovely. So first you talked about creating a studio and really democratizing the way we are creating things. Second, you talked about actionable, retrievable insights which are there. And third, we don't know what we don't know. So essentially ensuring that things are taken care of ahead of time in a very predictive manner. So with that, I come to the last question. India, as we all know, we've been seeing from the morning, is a land of opportunities. And I'm sure at all points of time, there's a need from all of us to create this societal equity lever to ensure that things reach the last mile. Tell us a little about how you see this landscape.
So one of the things that we have been doing in our lab is in addition to deeply technical areas like AI and machine learning, and I showed you the example of the tiny language model, and even in like programming languages and software engineering, right from the inception of our lab in 2005, one of the areas that we have been doing as a research area in our lab is called technology and empowerment, where we study the role of technology in socioeconomic development, and this is a research area in our lab. But we actually go beyond the confines of our laboratory. We experiment with many things. I mean, one of the things you do in a lab is actually you try in a lightweight manner, and many of our approaches fail. But when we actually come up with things that work, we have the discipline to take it all the way. For example, right, we worked on tuberculosis medication adherence. We came up with a technology called 99 dots. And we tried many things. We had 4 or 5 failures. But when we found an approach that worked, we really worked with the community. We graduated it out of the lab. We spun it out into a startup called Everwell Health Solutions, which now touches like 30 million beneficiaries throughout the world in terms of TB patients, tracking them, helping them recover. There is a collaboration with the government that is going on. Similarly, we had an agricultural extension digital technology that was effective after a few false starts. And once we knew how to do it, we actually graduated into an enterprise called Digital Green. And Digital Green is now a thriving organization which runs in tens of thousands of villages, both in India and Africa and so on, and touches millions of farmers. And then finally, right, you saw Satya talk about Karya. Karya was a research project in our lab. And the whole goal of the research project was, can you have actually communities that speak all these low-resource languages get financial benefit by supplying the data so that they just don't become consumers of technology, they contribute to the creation of the technology and get economic benefit from doing that, right? And that was like, what a thought that was. I mean, that was a research project, and when it became possible, we just looked at business models, we hired people who are entrepreneurial, and we just spun it out as a startup, right? So that's actually something I'm really proud of, is we have colleagues that not only think about science and deep tech for the haves, but also think about technology and how it can impact the have-nots, and not just think about it as a lab, right? Think about things that when they work, let's have the discipline to graduate them and make them survive and sustain in the world and help people.
Thank you so much, Sriram. I think what really is gratifying is the way you all think about bringing in deep tech, not just to the leading edge things such as AI, but kind of thinking about things in a way that when the tide rises, all boats come together. So thank you for making the power of AI come truly magical with an innate sense of a deep purpose. Thanks a lot, Sriram.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Next, we invite you to hear from Sandeep Allur, the CTO of Microsoft Technology Center, who will showcase some of the latest, most exciting and most impactful AI solutions from Microsoft.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. In fact, when Sriram said tiny language model, I can imagine a future where, imagine our phones are in airplane mode, but you can still access intelligent fingertips without needing internet connectivity. That's a future probably we'll see in the future, but can't wait for that. What fascinates me the most in the current times is the fact that the reasoning engine Satya spoke about, that brain can actually hear, speak, and see us. I think I'm going to show a few glimpses of that in my demonstration. I'm going to take you through 5 scenarios. Of course, a couple of them industry scenarios, and I'm going to bring in a bit of technicality in terms of how this reasoning brain works. Multimodality is what we heard from Satya also. I have some very cool multimodal demonstrations. In fact, I played with this model over the weekend. I have that privilege at Microsoft to play with the latest models. In fact, I have a few friends here who probably have built a lot of solutions, but I must tell you this. I am using for all the demos the version which came out as of 25th Jan 2024. That means using something as of yesterday. Yeah? So let's get going. Incidentally, last year, same time, we were in the same facility, and I showed one demonstration, which basically is to show the power of how reasoning engine works. Right? For the first time, when I used it, aha moment for sure, because it was a lot more human-like. Right? Today, I must tell you, this is a lot more human-aligned, because earlier, I felt it understood. Now, I feel it understands more than ever before. Right? So let's jump to the first demonstration here. It's called reasoning responsibility, because 1 year back, I saw the demonstration for sure. I saw the reasoning brain's intelligence. It gave me some answer for sure. It was aha moment for sure, but I would say when I tried the same questions that I played on the same data yesterday, the response was something else, right? I'm going to take you through a short demonstration here. The scenario I showed last year was, it's an insurance use case, right? So imagine a person has auto insurance, has an accident, and submits a claim to the insurance department. At the insurance company side, a claim approver, imagine I'm the claim approver, the case history comes to me to approve a claim. And I've never seen this case history. It's a 10-page Word document. My model has never seen the document before. So I start reasoning with this custom Copilot. Yeah? So this is a 10-page Word document. I'm going to just go through this. This is a very well documented stuff. It's there in terms of what happened. All the stuff is there in this document. Right? Now, 1 year back, on this very document, the question asked, after reasoning with this model for a few seconds, the question asked was, which is a $1 million question for me as a claim approver, should the claim be approved, yes or no? The response that came my way was, yes, claim should be approved. Right? Of course, no reason given, just simple yes. Now, the same data, same question yesterday with the most latest model, let's see what we get now. Yeah? If you look at the same conversations there, and my question to the model is, should the claim be approved, yes or no? Now, I feel this is with a lot more responsibility. It says, you know what, based on information, of course, somebody corroborated the incident, and you know what, it's leaned towards approval. However, it's your call. You should take a call on this. It's not a simple yes, right? This is the magic of technology. I think for the first time, I felt a lot more human aligned. Agree with me on this? Yeah? Awesome. Perfect. So let's move forward. I can't wait to show off some, I would say, multimodal demos I did over the weekend. My mom was witnessing when I was doing the demo, and she had a few questions. I'm going to bring that as I show that later. So this is an example of how these models are steerable, right? I think Satya used the term steerability. That means you can actually instruct the model what the model should do, should not do. Yeah? That means, though this model knows it all, it's almost like my analogy for this model is, this person has gone to university and done PhD in every subject on the planet multiple times. That's the brain we have. Is there a way I can control this brain to behave in a specific fashion? Imagine I'm an insurance company again, and as a company, I want to empower my insurance agents with a tool, it's a Copilot, to help them generate digital proposals to their customers, and also understand what are the risks associated with a particular consumer, also generate premiums, right? This assistant has been offered as a tool for insurance agents, yeah? So with that context, I'm going to tell you how you can steer the model. By the way, this is all natural language input. That means I can tell the model, hey, model, you behave like a underwriting agent here, and look at what I've underlined here. That means you do not provide answers which are outside of insurance domain. Simple prompt to the model, yeah? And only calculate premium when you asked, right? Otherwise, don't answer. Don't give me any premiums unless you ask for it. And I think the best part is don't answer questions that lead to competitive comparisons. So you can, by the way, put in any restrictions here. And of course, what you don't see on the screen here is I've also given rules and regulations. What's the rules and regulations of the company? And also, how do you calculate premium, the calculator itself, right? So let's get going with the conversation. Imagine this Copilot is available for insurance agents. I'm the insurance agent interacting with this Copilot and asking questions. Let's get started, yeah? I'm going to just say hello. Before that, I think this is my prompt, by the way. This is in the playground. You'll see the rules and regulations being put in there as a prompt, and also the calculation. This is called the meta prompt, by the way. That's what we released as Microsoft some time back. And the meta prompt is given as a context. Now, conversation begins. I'm going to say hello. And of course, you're going to come back and greet me. How can I assist you? You know what? I need help with assess an applicant. Yeah? It says, of course, give me the application and information. I'm going to throw in this information about this person called Arjun. And it starts looking at what are the risks involved there. It's going to put approved for there is no risk. It's going to put a condition wherever there's a risk, right? This is the model's assessment of my data, keeping in mind the prompt I gave there. Yeah? Of course, it goes on, and it asked me, look there, it says, you know what, do you want premium calculator to be done? Of course, please, go ahead, get me the premium amount. Okay? Simple calculation. By the way, I've given an example also. These are few short learners. They learn with examples. It tells me 10,000 rupees, no big deal. Now, I'm going to probably ask another question here for which I don't want the model to give an elaborate response. Give me a short response and calculate premium for me. I'm going to give in this person Vikram's profile here. Bit of a risk here in terms of health and lifestyle. And it goes and starts calculating. Look, it actually looks at the mathematics I've given to the model in terms of adding weights for each of the anomaly there and gives me, you know what, it's 26,500 rupees annually as a premium, right? As an insurance agent, it's like I can do all of this magic with anybody's help right there. Yeah? Now, let's move forward. I also gave a question earlier as a prompt, right? I said, don't answer competitive question. I'm saying, you know what, a competitor giving me, it's almost like me haggling with the model right now, right? A less premium, can you basically revisit this premium, which is higher? It says, no, you know what, I can't. I'm here to help you with what I'm supposed to be doing for this particular case, so this is what it is as a company. Now, of course, I asked a out-of-syllabus question, explain equity mutual fund. I said, don't answer question of insurance domain. It doesn't. By the way, if it had answered, it's called jailbreak. That means it's going outside the boundary and answering my question. It doesn't do that. Eventually, my ask is, base Vikram profile, recommend what policies should I recommend for my consumer. It goes and beautifully recommend. By the way, what is responding to me right now is its knowledge of this information on the planet till April 2023. Of course, as enterprises, you can augment that. Sriram used a term called retrieval augment generation. You can use those techniques to bring your data so the model understands that. Yeah? This is the second one. So far, so good? Yeah? Awesome. Thank you. Quickly, this is an interesting use case. I have the privilege of hosting customers at the tech center in Bangalore every single day. I think in a week, 3 customers ask us, hey, is there a way we can empower a call center agents with a reasoning engine? That means, can this engine assess agents in real time with information with a struggle at times? That means I may put on hold, so I'm going to probably put on hold, get my information. Can an agent amplify this person's ingenuity? Absolutely. Let's look at the use case right away. This has audio. We'll listen to the audio and we're going to look at, by the way, when you see the video, you should observe there is recommendations coming real time from Azure OpenAI service. That's a text for the agent as a next best action. Yeah? Let's look at that.
Hi, Adrian. Thank you for calling Woodgrove Bank. My name is Madison, and I'm here to assist you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Madison. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
I understand that you're interested in our home equity line of credit offer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. $100,000? Can you tell me what rates I could get for a 10 or a 15-year loan?
Yeah. So look at this. The recommendation is coming for the question is real time. And I've seen a few solutions from customers or partners who built in with basically 1 or 2 seconds max latency. Responses coming real time. That means the agent can stay productive. Let's continue the conversation, see what happens next. By the way, we will eventually move into what we call as the number one question that has come away is how do we do call log analytics? Call has happened. How do we understand what happened in the call? Let's look at it also. Let's continue this.
For a 10-year loan, we're offering a rate of 7.3%, which would give you a monthly payment of $1,183.37 for a $100,000 loan. For a 15-year loan.
Okay, call ends, transcript available there, entire conversation. You can ask any question, by the way, right? You will see I have a few, I would say I have 9 questions right there put in terms of, what are the monthly payments offered, main reason for conversation, sentiment of the customer, right? I have my own question. I'm going to add that here, which is, was there an opportunity for the agent to upsell, cross-sell? That's a question I'm asking for this particular model. And of course, after this, click on basically generate summary, and absolutely in a matter of a few seconds, you should have beautiful summary coming your way. And this is, by the way, this is called grounding the model. It's factually right. If it again goes off guard and gives the wrong answer, it's called error with confidence hallucination. Doesn't happen that way. It's beautifully tells me in terms of what answered the call. Of course, in the end, it says, yes, there was an opportunity for upsell, cross-sell, right? That input can go back to the agent to make sure that agent performs better from there on. Okay? Good one? Yeah? Awesome. Thank you. Multimodality. This is my favorite example. I told you earlier, I was playing with this model over the weekend. My mom was witnessing this exact demo recording. I'll tell you what happened, right? This is one of the bulbs we have at home. The lamp at home. The bulb had gone off. I had to replace it. I told my mom, you know what? You should watch this. Come and just witness this. And I'll tell you what she said later. By the way, the caption you see at the bottom is what PowerPoint gave me. You know what? It's a white globe lamp on a table. It may not know it's a table or a platform there. But let's look at this. The task I have in my hand is to replace the bulb, right? I said earlier, this innovation has eyes. It can hear, it can see, and it can speak, right? Let's look at this demo where we can look at the fact that this innovation can understand us and also has eyes, right? How many of you have ChatGPT Plus here? I know a lot of leaders have Plus subscription. Of course, if you have Plus subscription, you would have played with it. This is basically image in and text out, right? Let's look at that. I'm going to put bounding box and stuff where you want to see because the demo runs a little faster. My question to the model is, I need to change the bulb. Can you help? I need a short, concise instructions. I'm giving picture of the lamp here, right? It goes and looks at the lamp and start giving a description. But look, number 4, it says turn it counterclockwise, right? It tells me, you know what, do that. And I did that. I opened it. I said counterclockwise worked. What next? I took a picture once again. And I also told, you know what, this is what I see in the lamp. I didn't upload the picture, by the way. In the end, it will tell me that, you know what, please share an image of the socket because I'll tell you which bulb to put in. This is the picture of the socket. And I'm uploading that image here. And you'll see what response that come my way here, right? If you look at the top, it says the socket in the photo is a standard screw base. It identified that, right? And I took 2 bulbs. This is where my mom was like, oh, something magic going to happen right now. Which one to put, left or right? And we'll see what happens. Of course, a lot of technicalities here explaining what bulbs, etc. But this is the magic. It says on the right has standard screw base. This is the true evidence of the fact that this innovation has eyes. And my mom said, which is why you have a camera in front of your webcam when you do a conference call. No, that's not the point, right? She assumed that camera is doing all this magic. Yeah, she's 75 years old, very tech savvy, but she was thinking that, in fact, her point of view was, when you're working in office, this can happen. People will know what you're doing. And even if nobody's on the call, your camera can still do this magic, which is a fact, right? Cool, right? This innovation? Yeah? Awesome. Perfect. Let's move forward. Thank you. That's energy for me. Awesome. So moving forward, we saw image. Let's move to video, right? This is never seen before demo, by the way, because what OpenAI released and which we onboard on Azure as GPT-4V, which is vision, is only for images, right? Of course, my friends here would know, Anirudh, it's basically V is vision. We don't have video yet, right? This is the power, this is the magic of basically Azure Vision services where we're able to identify right frames for the question asked, extract that, and generate meaningful output. Let's look at that, right? By the way, the image, or rather the video reference I have is of this one person explaining how to use oxygen concentrator. How do you set up and administer that on the patient, yeah? That video is what I'm uploading right now. And we will get going. Upload done, ingestion done, and now my question, right? My question is, what should I do when power goes off, right? When oxygen concentrator in use? It selects the right frames to the question I've asked through the video, and this comes back saying, switch off, because unless you switch off, alarm still still be, you'll hear the sound of the alarm, right? Next, of course, summarize how to set up this oxygen concentrator. By the way, what's happening for this is, for my question, understands the question and intent, extract right frames, and is generating the output in real time, right? Now, it gets interesting from here on because I'm going to ask a pointed question because I want to understand how to put a cannula, right, for a patient. Okay, so it's pure magic of going through video, pulls out the right frames, gives me 4-step instructions. Yeah. So of course, the best part is I did nothing. I've just uploaded a video asking questions in the video. Finally, I want to understand, hey, summarize how to set up and use oxygen concentrator. And honestly, when I finished this demo, I was like, wow. You know what? Imagine in a healthcare vertical, if somebody is giving demonstration, you want to generate a manual of how to use it. Simple question, right? And of course, it doesn't end there. I said this innovation can also hear and speak, right? Recently, as Microsoft, we released what we call as text-to-speech avatars, right? So I'm going to ask a question to my model here, which is, how I've done. By the way, if you saw in the last step, there were 10 steps to use of oxygen concentrator. I'm going to ask one question. I've done step of what next, right? Let's look at that.
I have attached the cannula to the opposite side of the swivel connector. What next?
That's my voice asking a question. My model heard. It picked up the right response.
After attaching the cannula to the opposite side of the swivel connector, the next step is to wear the cannula properly. Here are the detailed instructions for wearing the cannula. 1. Position the prongs downward, insert them into the nose, loop the tubing around the ears, and secure under the chin with the adjuster. 2.
Going to mute. So now I think we have linguistic UI, but we never had a persona. Now we can do that, by the way. For the linguistic UI, you can give a persona who can listen to us and speak back to us, right? Now, last scenario, by the way, this is my day in the life at work. I thought I'll make it very personal because honestly, we've been talking about Copilot for some time now, and I have the privilege of using every single day at Microsoft, right? Of course, with every single passing week, my productivity has gone up, right? I'm going to show you. By the way, I actually did this demo only for this event to show how real these Copilots are, and this is my time on a Sunday evening till Monday night, okay? You'll be asking, why are you working on a Sunday night? No, it is basically my preparation for a Monday morning, right? You'll see that. And there are two aspects here, by the way. How can Copilots keep me glued onto work on a work day and help me understand what's happening in real time? Second one is time saving. By the way, Copilot saved me 75 precious minutes of mine this Monday. I'll show you how that happened. Yeah? Let's get going. My first question to my Copilot. By the way, I report to Irina at work. Now, my question to the model is, what latest from Irina Ghosh? And by the way, also, organize response by email, chat, and documents. Get me a quick summary of pending action from previous week before I start the next week. That's my question, by the way. Before I start my Monday, I want to make sure I'm done with my previous week actions. Look how beautifully it's organizing for me. Emails, team messages. Of course, the back and forth, by the way, on the weekend, we don't extend messages. It's for this event that we're preparing, and hence messages come my way. And, right? So now, look, it says your few meetings tomorrow. It also, by the way, I've forgotten approval of these two approvals of my team members. Because of Copilot, it told me, you know what, you have 2 pending claims to approve. That's fast. I was like, wow, this is great, right? I finished that, and I moved to Monday. Monday started, of course, this is the day before yesterday, and I have a midday checkpoint, by the way. Midday checkpoint is, what are top emails? By the way, I'm in customer calls pretty much every minute of the day, and I'm not in my mailbox. So whenever I get a break, ask this question. What are top emails for me? Any action from my end? That's important, right? Because if I don't need to respond to that email. It says here the top emails for you from in the last 1 hour, right? About half an hour ago, Viraj Patil sent me an email, right? By the way, this is all I want to know is in action for me, right? That's my question to the model. Comes back and beautifully gives me a summary. And of course, this is midday. How do I end my day? I'm winding up for the day from today's email and chat anything. Before I sign off, categorize actions, emails, etc. So I want to understand what transpired in the day. This is my pure question, natural question to my model. And it comes back, and of course, I'm not saying I'm going to finish all this. If there is a dire need to respond, I would look, otherwise I'll push it to the next day, right? So this is, by the way, these Copilots are making me understand what's happening at my work while I'm not on my emails and chat, right? I earlier said I saved 75 precious minutes. my first call Monday morning. By the way, we do customer briefing calls before we host them in the tech center. I couldn't get that video because of PII. My team and I got together and did the same. We enacted that. You'll see, this is my team, and you'll see customers there, 2 customers. And I'll tell you, after every call, by the way, when we do Teams call, as part of hosting customers, I have the habit of making notes. When I do that, my eyes is off customer. Customer is talking to me, but I'm making notes. Thanks to Copilot, I don't make notes anymore, right? Let's play this and look this
in
forward.
a call, by the way, I'm Sandeep and I lead the MTC for India. Pallavi and Vishaka, my colleagues.
The total revamp of my application portfolio.
Yeah, hi, I'm Srikantan here. I'm the VP of Engineering at Contazone. So top of mind.
Srikantan, we would like to hear more on the use cases that you mentioned.
Divine Srikantan, I was thinking as we have the Copilot.
Thank you so much once again. We look forward to hosting you in 2 weeks.
So the call happened, after which all I will do in my Copilot is ask questions. You know what? Just recap meeting and summarize key takeaways and also separate actions, right? Beautiful summary. And by the way, this takes me basically 15 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes as an average. 5 minutes it took me because I already made notes. 5 minutes to basically summarize and respond back. So this is where I've saved 5 minutes, by the way, right? Let's keep that count. Now, let's move forward. There was a back and forth email happening. I sent a mail on a Friday. You know what? Basically, we want to be the best MTC across 40 MTCs globally. And I started a thread with the team, and they basically started responding back and forth. It's a long chain, right? I wanted to respond on a Monday noon. I say, Copilot, no, summarize. I don't want to read all of this. Summarize for me. It beautifully summarized this for me in terms of, this is what Sandeep said, Vishaka, Srikantan, Divya, Pallavi, Lokesh, this is the response. I want to respond to them. I use my Copilot in Outlook, right? Appreciate team effort and reiterate our Q4 goals. That's it, right? And make it formal medium. I don't write a poem, by the way, right? So it beautifully gave me a draft, right, which I reviewed, right? This is honestly fabulous vocabulary English. You can also say align, write like me. That's a feature also. I'm okay with this. I want to keep it. Hit send button. And of course, I'm part of the same group. The email comes back to me. That's a proof that I've sent it, right? You'll come back. Yeah, there you go, right? So 10 minutes, yeah? So I saved 10 minutes here because I had to go through it, get my thoughts together, and put those, nice words to impress my team also because they've done fabulous work. So 15 minutes saved, right? One last example. This is, by the way, this is a document I did for a customer, right? It was 3 months of effort. A GenAI strategy, one of the customer, and we sent to the customer. Honestly, day before yesterday, the customer called me, Sandeep, is there a way, this is a 15-page document, can you give me a PPT of this, right? This is too long, I can't take it to my leader. Now, of course, I've played with my Copilot a lot. If I give this document to my Copilot in PowerPoint, it's too much information. It probably takes more to decide what is important, what is not important. So I thought, let me take a step. This is where we all learn believing in Copilot, right? What did I do? I took this document and went back to Word Copilot once again, right? You'll see it in a few seconds coming up. I asked for a shorter version, which can be taken as a summary to create a PowerPoint, right? You see here, I'm saying, you know what? Get me a shorter version of this document, which is basically the one I just selected right there, showed you earlier. And in a matter of about 30 seconds, by the way, it gave me a concise summary from every section of this 15-page Word document, yeah? Now, this also, by the way, takes time, but let's ignore the fact that it takes time. Time saved here, no time saved here. But after it gave me a shorter version, I'm keeping it, copying the link of this new file, and basically, this is where I go to PowerPoint, right? In a few seconds, it's going to come up. Go to PowerPoint because this is where I want to give the shorter version to PowerPoint, ask PowerPoint to generate a PPT for me, right? Copilot wakes up there. I'm going to say, create presentation from file, store this particular document, generate for me. And this also takes 30 seconds, by the way. It beautifully is generating outline for me as you see there. And in a matter of about 30 seconds, you will see a never seen before slides, right? Never seen before slides. The best part is all sections covered. It also has speaker notes from me. That's the best part, which also takes effort. It's interactive, by the way, right? So now I can always interact with my Copilot because it's there as my buddy. I always would end with a thank you note. So I said, you know what? Add a thank you note to the slide. And again, in a matter of 10 seconds, it takes less time, by the way. And basically, it's going to give me a beautiful thank you slide for me. And this PPT takes an hour. Let's agree. Yeah? I'm forcing you to agree. Yeah? 75 minutes saved, by the way. That's my time. Thank you so much. Irina, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. I'll just take a few minutes. In the last 90 minutes, it's just been a matter of time traveling. And I will just try to wrap up all the threads together for all of us. We heard Puneet talk about today. It's not about us. It's not about each of our organizations, but it's the unstoppable force of India and South Asia with the unstoppable potential of AI and the unstoppable spirit which gets us all together to create the possibilities of tomorrow. We heard Satya talk about 3 imperatives to make the era of AI come real. Number 1, how do we unblock our productivity with co-pilots? Number 2, building the AI capability of our organizations with the co-pilot stack. And number 3, the spirit of trust. How do we do it in a responsible way that we protect our business and our data? We saw a little bit into the sneak peek of future with Microsoft Research. Search, as we see today, you might think, wow, that is brilliant. What we are envisaging is that there's so much more which can happen with tiny language models, building up foundational studios, so that when we think about AI for good, it's not just good for us, it's good really for everybody to create that societal equity. And finally, as we wrapped up, it's not about the promise of tomorrow, as Sandeep showed, it's about what you do today. Our message really doesn't end with our vision, but it starts with the action that we want to do today. Sandeep covered scenarios around real industry use cases. What can we do to unlock our productivity? Things around vision fluency and so much more. But let me leave you with this message that for all of you here, we've got a coffee table booklet, as Puneet called out, which has got the stories of 70+ AI first movers, and we want to be in this journey together with all of you. Second, seeing is really believing. We've got the demo booths outside. Would really encourage all of you to see the testimonials of some of our customers and the Microsoft colleagues who've put brilliant showcases across for you. And finally, as we wrap up, we've also been in this AI in a boardroom journey, where we're really partnering with all of you to see what are those real use cases which are creating ROI, but at scale, can be taken today to production to bring the real impact. In summary, it's our juncture today for India and South Asia where we truly can harness the potential of this mega trend of generative AI to show monumental impact. It's the era of co-pilots. My question to you is, have you picked up your flight? Are you the pilot? Who's your co-pilot? Thank you very much. Have a great day.
मैं एक किसान हूँ अपने ही गांव में हमारी ज़मीन है 2 एकड़ उसमें ही हम खेती उगाते हैं रबी की और खरीफ की दोनों फसलें उगाते हैं जिसमें गेहूँ है जवार है बाजरा है तिल्ली है सरसों है बट यहाँ मेवात में कंदर बहुत से गांवों में न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पहुँच पाते हैं ये सरकारी स्कीमें पहुँचती हैं लेकिन ग्रामीण इलाकों में लोग योजनाओं की स्कीम पहुँच भी नहीं पाती है
These are all communities living in media dark areas, which means that penetration of traditional media like television and radio is very sparse. There's also literacy challenges, so things like newspapers have a very low access in these areas.
In India, we have 22 constitutionally recognized languages, but apart from that, we have more than 100, almost 120 languages. Being able to provide justice to each and every citizen in their own language, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity.
Jugalbandi is a chatbot that we built to solve 2 problems. One is this linguistic divide and the technological divide. We collected millions of parallel sentences for machine translation. We collected thousands of hours of data for speech recognition. And then we built state-of-the-art models on top of it using Parsini speech recognition models and Azure's OpenAI. So these capabilities allows us to understand language, transcribe it, translate it, and also synthesize it back in the form of speech.
चाचा यूँ जुगलबंदी है, यहाँ पे हम लिख के भी और बोल के भी कुछ भी जो हमें स्कीम चाहिए, सरकारी योजना है, उनके बारे में जानकारी ले सका।
मैं किसान हूँ, मुझे सरकारी योजना कैसे प्राप्त हुई?
मेरा नाम जुगलबंदी है। मैं एक असिस्टेंट हूँ जो आपकी सरकारी योजना के बारे में जानने में और उसके लिए एनरोल करने में आपकी मदद करूँगी।
तो वहाँ से हमें लिखित में भी और ऑडियो में भी दोनों तरीके से जवाब आया और किस किस डॉक्यूमेंट्स की ज़रूरत पड़ती है और किस किस फॉर्म की ज़रूरत पड़ती है।
The Ministry of Electronics and IT in the country has been working on this for the last 5 years now. And when ChatGPT was launched, that was really the catalyst for us being able to bring these pieces together. We've been able to categorize the diversity of India as an innovation opportunity. And if you're able to do that successfully, you're able to do it for the world.